Hello, YouTube. I'm in Norwood Park, Illinois, a small town just a few miles east from O'Hare Airport. And just a block from where I'm standing, there once stood a home where serial killer John Wayne Gacy once lived. Better known as the Killer Clown, he sexually assaulted, tortured, and murdered at least 33 young men and teenage boys between 1972 to 1978 in the Chicagoland area. Gacy would lure his victims to his home in the promise of a high paying job in his construction company, or he would take in hitchhikers or runaways he picked up on the streets or at a bus stop and give them food, alcohol, drugs, and a place to stay. Of course, the unsuspecting victims felt comfortable and safe around Gacy, and sometimes Gacy would play a magic trick involving handcuffs for entertainment, and once his victims were handcuffed and unable to escape, Gacy would proceed to rape, torture, and murder them by asphyxiation with a makeshift tourniquet. Gacy would bury 26 of his victims in the crawl space of his home, one in the garage and two in his backyard, plus four more bodies were dumped in nearby Des Plaines River. 28 of Gacy's victims have been identified, one just recently, but five remain unidentified, and I'm going to talk about them while I show you where they were found. Now, Gacy's original home was torn down in 1979, and a new home was built on the site in 1988. This is Gacy's home as it appeared during the time of the murders, and there are similar homes like Gacy's in this neighborhood. Here's what Gacy's home would have looked like today if it weren't demolished. When Gacy was arrested in late 1978, police began tearing down his house to look for a missing teen suspected of meeting Gacy. They found body after body, and most of the victims were identified within a year or two. Some weren't identified until decades later. Just last year, body number 5 was identified as 21-year-old Wayne Alexander from North Carolina. The remaining unidentified victims of Gacy are body 10, body 13, body 21, body 26, and body 28. Body number 10's skeletal remains were found in a crawl space next to the bodies of 4 other boys. He was between the ages of 17 and 21, white, height around 5'7" to 5'11", weight, hair, and eye color are unknown. He had sustained an injury to his left clavicle prior to his death that had healed over time. His death date is uncertain, but is tentatively assumed to be around March 15 to July 5, 1977. This is a remarkable composite of him and probably accurate. Take a good look. Do you recognize this teen? He deserves his name back for what he went through. Here's another accurate composite of body number 13, whose skeletal remains were found in the southwest corner of Gacy's crawl space. His skull was found face upwards, with his head turned slightly to the right and approximately 13 inches beneath dirt. He was 17 to 22 years old and between 5'11 to 6'3". He had very dark wavy brown hair, described on his autopsy report as being almost black in appearance. He may have been suffering from a terrible toothache around the time of his disappearance. Gacy may have murdered this young man between August to October of 1976, because Gacy hired a contractor in August 1976 to dig a trench in a crawl space in the exact spot where he was found. Body number 21 was located in the southeast corner of the crawl space. The young man was buried face upwards, approximately 12 inches beneath the surface of the topsoil. No clothing was covered upon his body. This victim is believed to have been murdered between June 13th and October 25th, 1976, based on the fact his body was buried directly above the body of William Carroll, body number 22, who disappeared on June 13th, 1976. and the estimated date of death of the two later victims of Gacy buried within the crawl space. Body number 26 was located in the southeast corner of the crawl space and was buried face downwards in the dirt, about 2 feet 7 inches beneath the surface of the topsoil. The victim was completely nude. No clothes or possessions were found. A cloth-like material was discovered lodged in his mouth. He was gagged to death by the killer clown. Gacy may have coerced or abducted this young man in what Gacy called his cruising years. Sometimes he would pose as a cop and arrest teens for being out too late. And once they got in his car, he would subdue them with chloroform until they passed out, and take him to his home to be tortured and strangled to death. It is unknown how this young man got into Gacy's house. Body number 28 was a teenager and may have been Gacy's second victim and the only unidentified victim that was not found in the crawl space. He was found in Gacy's backyard, buried near a barbecue pit. A neighbor caught Gacy digging a hole in his backyard, and a week later a barbecue pit was constructed near the area in time for a Wild West themed party he was hosting. After this victim was killed, Gacy placed him inside a closet until the smell got so bad he had to bury him. He was stuffed inside a garbage bag, and layers of plastic sheets were placed under and on top of the body to prevent odors from seeping through. The clothes he was wearing disintegrated over time, but they were able to identify that he had on a shirt, jeans, socks, and an underwear, plus he wore a white metal band on his left ring finger, and he may have fractured his right arm. Gacy likely killed him in 1974. John Wayne Gacy was a truly evil human being, and like most serial killers, he put on a fake facade of a trusting man, but he was not. It is not known how Gacy met these unfortunate young men and boys and how they got in his house. Please take another good look at these faces. Someone must recognize them. I know they could be from anywhere and not likely from Chicago, but with more exposure from social media, questions can be answered, and hopefully they can get their names back and be returned to their families. If you have a long-lost young white male member of your family or friend that have vanished between 1972 to 1978, please call your local authorities. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.